comes, until the killing of black men, a black mother's son is as important as the killing of white men, a white mother's son. Go. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. The older I get, the better I know that the secret of my going on is passing on to others that which was passed on to me. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
When you plan this, you can't think about just yourself. You got to think about what I'm doing. I got to stop you from winning. So every time you stop you from winning, I got to play defense on you. My offense will come from my defense. There you go. Every move you make in life is supposed to be for a purpose. Every second.
¿Cuánto le gustará tocar que quería formar una banda?
Banda?
Yeah, what's a banda? Music.
Well, she had no choice. Trixie Ball.
Every sentence after me, okay? I promise to be safe.
I promise to be safe.
I promise to be a good person.
I promise to be a good person.
I promise to obey my parents and teachers. Parents and teachers. You are now a kitty. Yay! You're a kitty cop, and we have.
I just want to wish all of you guys a happy new year. From LaRon Armstrong, Deputy Chief of Police, BFO 2, and have a happy 2019.
From Area 4, this is Captain Joshi. Namasal Mubarak.
Happy New Year from Dispatch.
Feliz Años Nuevo de División de Motos.
The time is now 6:38, and I'm calling this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Oakland Police Commission for February 28th at 6:38. Love life. My goal as chair is to create transparency between all the stakeholders, in addition to ensuring that law enforcement is acting legally, appropriately, and in the best interest of keeping the community safe. And more specifically, that OPD's policies are in line with best practice nationwide.
It occurs to me that so many people are waiting to hear from the commission on how we can help. But perhaps just reach out directly to the community and let us know what you need.
You have control over policy, and it's really critical that the commission represent the community, look at this thing in a way that says, what can we do to make sure that this kind of tragedy never happens again to either the victims or the officers involved?
It was 163 days before I got my police report. No insurance company, no anybody is going to do anything for you without a police report. That is not serving the public.
Yet here we are at the end of February and it's still not fucking done.
This is ridiculous. Document requests from the agency are supposed to be completed within 10 days. If that's not happening, action needs to be taken. And it's borderline contemptible.
And I discovered that this particular police officer, when we were discussing things, he denied any of the scandals have happened.
Nothing's changed, and I don't see anything changing. I think there's opportunity here to hand down some real consequences.
Oakland deserves better, and the police department can do better.
For me, police accountability is not just about holding the bad officers accountable. It's also about protecting those who really take their job seriously.
My understanding is also that they're down 3, and I'm glad to see that there's an agenda item on this agenda to address the current hiring freeze.
We need to stop hiring officers who commit crimes, and those that do commit crimes, we need to get rid of them. Fire those officers. Stop all this dilly-dallying around. OPD will never gain credibility in the minds of the community, in the minds of anybody, if they keep on hiring and keeping officers on the force that are criminals.
Hey, police, don't move! Get your hands up! Hands up! Hand off the gun! Hands up! Get your hand off the gun!
Hey, do not move! Get your hand off that gun, young man! Get your hand off the gun! Damn it. Get your hand off the gun! Get your hand off the gun!
Suelta la pistola! That gun moves. Yep. Bag him.
Get your hand off the gun! Get your hand off! God damn it. Ugh.
In addition, I want to say at this time, regardless of the outcome of this case, that I do and am preparing for policy changes and training.
I'm here today on behalf of him, on behalf of his family, and on behalf of all the people I work with. Because this is now part of my fucking job, is showing up to these meetings so I can ensure that the young people I work with who fall asleep in between homes because they don't have anywhere else to go are not woken up by an array, dozens of bullets killing them.
I'm real glad to hear you guys are aware you need like a policy on how to wake people up. But like how many people needed to be killed before we thought that was important?
No, you do not get to say that you're starting new training and we have to start the wheel over into best practices. We know best practices. I've been doing this work for over a decade, and never have I ever had hands put on me or I put hands on anyone else. There are de-escalation skills out there that exist. So no, that's a fucking bullshit excuse.
For 45 fucking minutes, there were about 40 officers that stood around and did nothing except secure the scene of a sleeping individual.
It's very nice that the chief was mentioning some policy changes about how to approach sleeping or unconscious people. I think that there are larger policy changes that really need to be looked at here, and I offer anything I can do to help the commission with that. I urge you to please look at the broader policy around use of force.
I had to write down all of this stuff just to follow the trail of hokey BS that the chief came up here with. The very first thing that came to my mind was the NSA today stated today that your leadership chief is a failure. The Pollock case is actually the second killing in Oakland with a sleeping shooting. I believe Mr. Demario Hogg, which was a black man. I don't hear anything about an investigation. I didn't hear anything about, there's going to be something independent when a black person is shot.
Disarm the Oakland police, because you all don't know how to act.
I'll make this fairly brief. I've started to go out to other NCPCs, Neighborhood Crime Prevention Councils, and talk about community policing as it should, in fact, be implemented in our city. And I'm going to follow up, as I've already mentioned, to both the Community Policing Advisory Board and the Measure Z Oversight Committee, that we should, meaning the Police Commission and those two bodies, form a task force focused on the implementation of community policing in our city, and that a part of that, a big part of that, can and should be, again, I mentioned both of them, a summit focused on community policing, where we really deal with the real questions in our city around community policing. That is, what does it consist? What does it really mean? What is the SARA process? What are the what is a reasonable procedure for arriving at a priority? There's just a whole list. How do you evaluate your community resource officer and your neighborhood services coordinator? What role does racial and social justice play in community policing and in the mission of NCPCs? These are all workshop topics that I think should be part of a real community policing summit. And so I'm continuing to talk to the CPAB about that. They're moving in that direction, and I'll be bringing back reports on their progress and also the progress of the task force.
SJPD.org, they have those things listed on there that what the San Jose Police Department is doing about the 21st century policing model. Mm-hmm. And so one of those things that's not on there is the ice cream truck. And so the ice cream truck, I think, was out here not too long ago. The first time they deployed it was over here on, I don't know if it was Berryessa, if it was further south. But it was on the east side somewhere. So it's just a way for people to come in. Who doesn't love ice cream? Everybody likes ice cream. If they say they don't, they're either lactose intolerant or they're lying to you. So that's a great way to kind of, one, honor Michael Catherman, who was killed on a motorcycle in 2016, because his favorite thing to do was to go get ice cream. And then another way to build community relationships with not only kids, but everyone who likes ice cream.
If the police are only called to arrest you, to talk down to you, to teach you a lesson, how are you going to feel when the police come and interact with you? It's different if your interaction with police officers are, hey, I lost my dog, help me find them, or I can't find my child, help me search for them. Those are the kinds of interactions we want to see from police officers. But if instead we get algorithms that say crime is likely to happen, so they go to hotspots where crime does happen because they're looking for it there. in many senses, you get what you're looking for. If police officers are sent out and say, okay, we're going to look for street-level drug sales in this neighborhood, if you send them out to do that, they're going to find what you tell them to look for. We're telling police officers to look for certain types of crime, and often these crimes don't have any real victims. And we're telling them to do that in certain neighborhoods with certain kinds of people who live there, and they're getting a certain kind of policing that nobody wants.
I think it's relatively high. There's a majority of people do support us. But if you ever go to a Safer Communities meeting, you get a chance to listen to the Chief of Police, Eddie Garcia, talk about trust. And his goal is to build trust. And he does a survey live with your phone. So it'll ask people to have a prompt up on the screen, and then everyone will have their phone, and they will say how much they trust the police, on a scale from 1 to whatever. And so it'll populate with the thing. So everyone that's there, and then they have other statistics from other surveys they've taken, and it'll say, okay, 90% of people trust the police. And so Eddie's not really concerned about the 90% that already trust the police. He's concerned about that 10% that doesn't. And what can we do better as a police department to, one, interact with those people and to gain their trust?
The bigger problem, though, is that it's not as if all black people in Oakland hate the police. There are people who do not like police officers, and they often have very good reasons for that distrust. But many people want and need police services. This is the great frustration of a lot of folks who live in what you could call a high-crime neighborhood. If you live in a neighborhood where crime is happening, you want someone to come in and intervene. If you're not the kind of person who feels comfortable walking up to someone and saying, hey, could you turn down your stereo? You might want to call somebody who does feel comfortable, and in many cases, that's the police. The problem we have here is that people who are just trying to survive, people who want to make happy and safe homes for their families, can't call the police because they worry that if they do call a service that is supposed to serve and help them go on and live their lives, someone's going to end up dead, someone's going to end up bleeding, someone's going to end up shot. You're caught between a rock and a hard place where you don't want the criminals, but you don't want the police either, because it's hard to tell the difference between police and criminals.
But what we're really concerned about is that 10% that may not support us, or maybe they feel like they were harassed by the police, or they were they felt profiled, even though they might not have been. They felt profiled. So it's about perception too, right? And so what can we do to change that perception? If I pull you over on a traffic stop, did I treat you with dignity and respect? Did I give you a voice? Am I listening to you why you did it? And whether I give you a ticket or not, do you feel respected? Do you feel important? And if you don't, then that trust is not going to be there, and that's harder to build community relationships.
You can always rebuild trust, but the old metaphor about trust being like drops in a bucket is very true. When the bucket's full, all it takes is one bad act to kick it over, and it takes forever to refill it. And the Oakland Police Department keeps kicking over the bucket. You can look back to 2016 for the rape scandal and see what happened in the aftermath. You can look at the 2017 shooting of Joshua Pollock. You can look at today what's happening in the Oakland Police Department, where they're moving out of compliance. Just in the last few months, the federal monitor's already reinstated now 4 tasks. This is incredibly frustrating. We're not going in the right direction. It's not what you want to see.
That's what we're trying to do with events like these, and then when we go to the fair and partial policing training, and we go to the procedural justice training, and all the officers in the whole entire department go through that training, they can realize that. Because it's not about just taking bad people to jail. That's obviously a main part of what we do, but it's about building that relationship. So.
You believe in freedom, cannot rest until it comes. You believe in freedom, cannot rest. Hear me talking to you. We who believe in freedom, cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mother sons, is as important as the killing of white men, white mother sons. We who believe in freedom cannot Sing it with me if you like it. We who believe in freedom and not rest until the older I get, the better I know that the secret of my going on is when the reins are in the hands of the young who dare to run against the storm. 'Cause to me, young people come first. They have the courage